Hello everybody, Don Tronathon here, and welcome to this that I'm doing today. There's this college girl who's racist or something like that, and Charlie Kirk. I've been watching a lot of Charlie Kirk here lately, and he's one of those people, you know. What is it, Project something? He's got it going on. This guy, me and him, we think a lot alike. I'm not gonna become. Let's just put it this way: we went to different schools together. But anyway, let's get on with the video. And before everything happens, remember to subscribe and smash like, you know, all that mess. But anyway, here we go. Charlie Kirk, take it on.
In the CRT literature, what do they think of white people or whiteness?
Who would you like me to quote?
Kimberly Crenshaw.
I haven't read Kimberly Crenshaw.
She says that whiteness is a cancer or a toxin on our society.
The concept of whiteness, the racial concept of whiteness.
Okay, so what is whiteness?
What is whiteness?
Yeah, define it.
As Kimberly Crenshaw would probably say,
this female here. Seems to me that this girl thinks that she's pretty dang smart. I mean, she looks like a future cat lady, but she's gonna say, I'm not trying to be anything, okay, but how would she know who this person? She said she's never heard of the person, but she's gonna put words in her mouth apparently. But this is what we deal with the woke college of today.
Sort of construction of privilege that comes with being white in this country.
Right. So what privilege do you and I as white people have that black people don't have?
Yeah, great question. On applications that are blindly judged, white-sounding names are often given the job more. They're paid more.
Not true. In fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah, there's a thing. What is it? Affirmative action or something, or was it DEI? Anyway, maybe Charlie, he'll get to it.
There's black privilege right now. It's called affirmative action.
There you go.
Underqualified blacks are taking Asians and white people's places in universities across the country. True or false?
Yes, that's true. And we will go and show you. Here we go. Affirmative action. The practice or policy of favoring individuals belonging to groups regarded as disadvantaged or subject to discrimination. Now, that would be anything right here. Typical criteria, affirmative action, are race, which is right there is racist. If it has anything to do with race, it's racist. Disability, gender, ethnic origin. This was started by President Lyndon Johnson. That's the Google definition.
Sure, true.
Okay, so yeah, there's black privilege, not white privilege in this country.
I actually don't think affirmative action is how we address education inequality.
Okay, well, that affirmative action is still largely supported by the CRT regime. But let's get back to CRT, to the essence of it.
Sure.
CRT believes in one manifestation of its ideology is black-only dormitories. So white people are not allowed. Do you believe in black-only dormitories?
No, and I don't have to agree with every aspect of an ideology to argue for it.
So then what part of CRT do you like? Because they call whiteness a toxin, black-only dormitories, and if you want to talk about like ideological or intellectual sloppiness, the 1619 Project was...
I think it's very sloppy.
Okay, we agree. Nicole Hannah-Jones.
I think it's overstated, and I think some
you're
parts
being
are inaccurate.
Fair. Okay, good.
The parts of CRT that I think are most relevant and, you know, very factually, you can, you know, what am I trying to say? There's a lot of evidence for them, is the fact that previous inequalities, such as the institution of slavery, such as our treatment of Native Americans, do in fact affect those populations today. And you were saying before, in, you know, inner cities, there's a lot more crime, and a lot of that is because of redlining and other like practices that come directly from the mistreatment of minorities previously in this country.
So I want to make sure I understand. So black people make up 13% of the American population.
Oh, 1350, my favorite.
Yes, exactly. Why do they commit 55% of all the murders?
Super great question. It's basically a very complex intersection of race and economic status. It's pretty well known that minority people tend to be in a lower economic status because of discrimination that they face.
No. What the reason that is because the family has been tore up. You have one mother, no father. Conditioning. You grow up without a father. Back in the 70s, it was like 17% of women were black women were single parents. Now it's in the 70% of something like that, 70-some%. If you go and look through it all, it has a lot to do with the father not being there, and that causes them to go into this system, and the government set it all up. They wanted the government wanted the black community to marry the government. They paid them. They give them incentives to divorce. They wanted them to have kids and not have fathers this way because they paid them. And the mother was like, well, I just have this baby right here. I'm going to get paid, and I get this so much a monthly check, so I don't have to work and all this mess. And it's caused a cycle, which is that's how they got power through the Democratic vote. I mean, there's a lot to this, but hopefully Charlie hits on this, and you don't have to hear me ramble on about it.
Why don't poor Asians commit a lot of murders?
Also, a great question.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. Asians are the top. They yeah, there's no comparison when you compare black lives and Asian lives in America because the Asians are the top percentage. There are a lot of when you go through the poverty levels, you start at the bottom and go up. The Asians are at the very top, and that's kind of crazy because they came in and were kind of like, you know, they weren't oppressed, and they didn't let that get to them. They stood strong and went over the top. That's the focus right here. That's how they bettered themselves, was by not letting themselves be oppressed. And another one main factor in that is they keep a strong family. Their families stay together, their mother and their father and the kid. And it's we call it the nuclear family, I guess you call it. That's the proof right there, because they stay together more often than any other race. And they have very strong cultures when it comes to that. But anyway.
Asian people weren't originally brought to America on purpose like black people, and they weren't already present here like natives.
Wait,
oh gosh. Slaves sold themselves into slavery down in Africa, and they sold themselves, right? Okay, well, there's been more people that have migrated to the U.S. There have been more blacks migrated into the U.S. than there were in the slave era, trade era, so that kind of doesn't fit with what she's going on.
So blacks murder because they were brought here 250 years ago?
No, I would like to finish.
Okay, just answer. It's very simple. Black.
I am answering.
No, I know, but you're not really.
I am. Asian Americans predominantly immigrate here for work reasons. They come from already wealthy countries. They're already wealthy when they get here. Crime is committed primarily by poor people.
Third world.
Talk to anybody from Who's Vietnamese? Anybody? Did your family come here wealthy?
No.
Yes
not
and
wealthy,
no. Okay.
but not.
Yes
I'm not
or
saying
no?
they come
No.
here. Okay.
The average Vietnamese does not come here wealthy.
I'm not okay. I perhaps misspoke. Not wealthy, but a lot of the, you complain about it all the time. A lot of the immigration from countries that border us, right? It's sort of desperate people who are of a lower economic status, right? And they're coming here for a better life.
So two things. Number one, there's been more blacks that have legally immigrated to this country in the last 30 years than were ever brought as slaves. That's number one.
See, that's what I was getting at. So Charlie knows his stuff. See, that's why I like Charlie. I mean, he knows what he's talking about.
One. Number two, you still haven't answered the question.
I'm trying to.
Why?
It's a complicated answer.
Black people are only 13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders. Why?
Because
the home is broken.
Black people tend to be in lower economic statuses because of
Okay, no, this
CRT,
is fine. This is great.
Basically.
So you think that poverty equals crime?
I think that it's highly correlated. And
we interrupt these messages to bring you this special broadcast. Just to let you know to like and subscribe. If you like this kind of content and this reaction type stuff, leave me a comment down below. We'll continue to do things like this because this is basically what I watch on YouTube all the time. So I can make a lot of commentary on there. But go ahead and put your comments down below. Give your opinions on this stuff. I mean, this stuff is what matters right now.
Disagree. What an insult to the working poor of this country.
So why do you think black people commit more crime,
Well, first
Charlie
of all,
Kirk?
so let me ask you a question as my answer.
It. Go on.
What percentage of blacks have a father around when they're raised?
Boom, 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 boom.
I'm not sure.
20%.
So
80% of blacks do not have a stable father around. It is the most predictable way to end up in prison, end up as a murderer or a criminal.
And
it's not a racism problem. It's not a white supremacy problem. It's a fact that black fathers impregnate women and they don't stay around with the women that they have impregnated.
Charlie Kirk, do you think that happens more in the black community compared to others?
It's threefold. Number one, we subsidize single motherhood. Number two,
Yes,
it's culture. It's
get
accepted
paid
in the
for it.
black community, and it
So
shouldn't
it's
be.
culture. Okay.
Don't take my
I
word
see.
for it. Read Thomas Sowell's own book on how black culture allows single motherhood to continue into a nanny state type practice. 75% of black youth are raised without a father in the home. 75%.
There
Is
you
that
go.
a bigger problem or not a bigger problem than whiteness, white privilege, or white supremacy? How
They
can
should
you
all
blame?
be addressed, and they're all related.
Okay, how is a white person to blame for the fact that 75% of blacks?
Oh, individual white people aren't at all to blame.
Okay, we agree.
Yeah.
So, but wouldn't it be more like smarter to be like, hey, that this is not about systemic racism. Like, stop impregnating your women and abandoning them.
Well, the way to incentivize not impregnating women and abandoning them is increasing access to healthcare, into housing, into everything that we know increases those outcomes for people.
So we have spent $30 trillion on the social welfare system since 1965. Black people are poorer, and the single motherhood went from 25% to now 75 to 80%. So the more money we've spent on black America, the less fathers we have, because black women divorced black men and married the government.
Exactly.
And do you think that's a problem inherent to black people?
No,
it's not
no,
happening now
because-
in white
yeah,
communities and
exactly.
Hispanic communities. It's just
That's what I was getting ready to get at. Well, that's what I was getting ready to get at. I know personally of people in my community of which I live that there are females that are going out getting impregnated. They're of age, but they're going out and getting impregnated, and then they're kicking their significant other to the curb because the government is going to give him $1,200 a month per child. So they're like, per child. Yeah, okay. So I have 1, 2, 3. Was it 3, 4? Oh man, I'd be 4 kids. It'd be 12. I'd be $1,200. I'd be $4,800 a month. How many months is in a year? You close to 5,000 in 1 month. You get close to $60,000 a year for kids. Then you get all this. You get all this WIC. You get all this food stamps. You get car vouchers. You get free cell phones, and it just goes on and on and on. And all this government subsidies, and it's just like there's no point to get married because the government is trying to keep it to where people can. They want control. That's basically what it is. And once you give them complete control, if everybody starts living off the government, who's going to pay the taxes? Does that not blow your mind? Who's going to pay the taxes? Where do you think the government gets its money? It taxes everybody that works. The people that work and pay their taxes pay the government. The government pays the people that are too lazy to do anything with their lives. It ain't their fault.
It ain't their fault. It's the government's fault.
It's the government's fault. I'm getting heated and I'm getting upset, so I'm going to have to stop it right there. But if you want to see more of this type of content, just go ahead and make sure you let me know in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right now before I get too aggravated. Hope everybody had one of them good ones. Remember to go over to Charlie Kirk. He's on YouTube. This dude, I like him. I like all these people. There's a lot of people. I'm gonna make my own content after this, and we'll just see what happens from there. But until next time, everybody have one of them good ones. Bye.